Hey, what is going on, guys? Joe here, 690 ADV, Radio 690 ADV. What's happening today, guys? Everybody doing okay? Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for spending some time with me and talking about the one thing that we don't talk about a lot, but we know we think it exists when we're out doing our riding and doing our stuff. First things first, don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to be part of our podcast. Also our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/690ADV. And don't forget, you can get us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Still working on the Alexa thing. I don't get the skills, but not a big deal. But yeah, on to today's podcast, Mojo. Or I don't know what you call it. We call it the Mojo. Mojo, or that it factor, or in the groove, or whatever. I mean, what do you call it when you're feeling it or you're dialed in? You know what I'm saying? We call it having your mojo. Your mojo can be on or your mojo can be off. And when your mojo's off, boy, I tell you what, it's off. I mean, if you've ever been out riding and you were riding and you were just feeling it and you were just, having a great time and you were tearing it up, nothing could really go wrong. But then one little thing went wrong and then everything just starts going wrong. Nothing feels right, especially when you're off road. You probably know as well as I do, let me down, below, give me some comments and tell me what, your factor, your mojo, what it does to you. Does it even exist, or do you even believe in that stuff, or any of that type of mindset when you're out in off-road? But we believe in it. That's our thing, especially with our guys when we're riding. We'll get riding, we'll be on a 10-day trip or a 12-day trip, and certain days we'll have mojo, and certain days we won't. It just doesn't happen. But it's really kind of a cool thing whenever your mojo's on, or you feel that your mojo's on certain days, when you're off road, really when you're in the twisties, like when you're in those canyon runs that are just zipping around, like in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, Colorado. There's some great ones over in the east side. I really did enjoy our trip when we went out east to Dragon's Tail and some of those different riding areas out there. I don't think it's so congested. I don't know if anybody's ever been out there. If you have, maybe you know of a great day or a great time or a perfect part of the year to go out there to do like Dragon's Tail and all those different little runs. Maybe you could share that with us and let us know what is a great time to go. But your mojo, when you're hitting that stuff and you're going and you're blowing and you're just getting after it and you're doing all those things and you're feeling it, is it real, or is it just you just get inside your head to get in the groove? The thing is when it's off, man, is it off? You just can't feel it. Everything feels wrong. You feel like you're going to crash at all times. You feel like you're kind of unstable on the bike, and you're finding things that are wrong with the bike too. I mean, does that happen to you? I know it has happened to me on many occasions that I mentally just made something up based off of how I was riding and how I felt based off of one little thing that went wrong, like either I laid the bike down or, came in a corner a little too hot and freaked me out. There's so many different things that can happen that can get your mindset just as, I don't understand this word, wonky, but I mean, that's kind of it, and, but as far as the mojo goes, when it gets off, it seems like it really gets off, and it's super, super hard to get it back. And just your mind just wanders and it just gets kind of out there. So, what do you guys call it, and what do you do to try to get outside of it, to fix it? Is there a fix? I've yet to find one. It's usually the next day, before I can kind of get my mind cleared out. It's kind of like I got to flush the system by, campfire, setting up camp and hanging out with the guys, doing all of our stuff, go to bed, get up. I've pretty much forgot about the day before, as far as all the bad stuff. And then I can kind of get my groove back on again. And then I can go and try to find my mojo, as we call it. So, are there any tricks that you guys do to get your mind back on track? Because I know that, I'm a pretty good rider. I don't like to say that I'm an amazing rider. I've had people, say really nice things about the way that I ride when I'm off road and I'm doing things, but I see a lot of guys that, man, can just flat tear it up. They're just really, really good, and there's so many more better riders than me. To me, I just like to ride. I don't like to do comparisons and stuff like that, but I see those guys ride, and I know that they dump their bikes, and I know that they have issues too. And if you're one of those riders that, maybe an MX rider, maybe you're a subscriber or something like that, comment below, tell me, what do you do to get your head right back? I'd like to know, because maybe I could do some training or something like that to try to get my head, and maybe some subscribers and stuff that are watching the video, reading the comments, could read it too, because they have the same issue. They can't get their head wrapped around it because, one little thing goes wrong, and it seems like when one thing happens, it compounds into 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what I'd like to do is try to see if maybe there's a fix for that, or a workaround, or a mental training tool to do to try to, to get that going, so that you can get around that and maybe get back on track, especially if it happens early in the day, when you're out riding and you're doing your stuff. It makes for kind of a long day sometimes, and it takes away from some of the fun and excitement when you're out riding with all your buddies and doing all those things. So if you know of anything down below, man, I sure would appreciate it, and I'm sure other people would appreciate it as well. If you would share what you do to help get back on track and get your mojo on, or your it factor and stuff like that, so that you could get focused and get back out and do it and stuff. But mojo, does it exist? Is it a thing? Do you get yourself into that? Is it something that is just, do you think it's dumb? Do you think, oh, that doesn't exist, man? There ain't no mojo. You either you're a good rider or you're a bad rider, so it'd be interesting just to see where that lies with everybody. But I kind of believe in it. I need to have a little belief in certain things, to, sometimes it makes me feel like I'm a better rider than I am. And it feels kind of cool, to be doing things, maybe just riding just a little bit faster than I normally do, or I'm taking corners a little bit better, I'm leaning into them a little bit better, and I feel like I'm a little bit closer to dragging a peg or something like that. I get down a little inch closer on each turn. It's kind of a cool factor, without being stupid, of course. But when it gets going, you get the mindset like you can push yourself a little bit more, and that is the mojo to me. But the question is where to cut the mojo off, where to cut it off, and not get stupid with it, thinking that you're invincible and that you're just the most, great motorcycle rider on the planet. Because you can get in that, you can get inside of your head to thinking that you really can and cannot do certain things, So knowing your limits is another big thing too. But knowing the mojo, or the it factor, or the you're on it type deal, what do you believe in it? And if you have bad mojo, how do you get out of it? I really would like to know. So I think that's a really cool thing to feed off of other riders and other dual sporters and other guys that are out there, especially if you ride off road like we do in dual sport. That can really mess you up big time. You take a pretty good spill off road, that really can mess with your head a little bit. And especially with new riders, that really can mess with new riders. So any tips or tricks that you guys have would be awesome and fantastic to help them out. And not only that, man, you're going to be helping me out. Like I said, I don't know everything. But with everybody's help, man, I tell you what, with everybody, we can all figure it out and make it a much, much better dual sport world. So, but anyway, like I said, I appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping in on the podcast. Don't forget Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes. And don't forget that we have our YouTube channel too, which I know you're on here now, but we also have the actual just audio podcast too. Hit subscribe, give us a like. We really would appreciate it. And comment, let us know. Tell me about the Mojo or your it factor. How do you get around that? What do you do mentally? If you don't mind. I mean, I would appreciate it. But don't forget, subscribe to all of our stuff. Be part of it. Don't forget, go to our website, sign up. And other than that, you guys have a great day, a great weekend. Get out, find your adventure, and man, I tell you what, just ride. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much for stopping in, and 690 out.